The San Fernando Valley. To outsiders, it looks like just another piece of Los Angeles. Malls, freeways, rows of middle-class homes, a suburbia built on the promise of escape. But beneath the surface, beneath the sun-bleached streets and quiet cul-de-sacs, is a history that runs deep. Older than freeways, older than Hollywood itself, and a history stained with conflict, survival, and the birth of barrios that shaped generations. Back in the late 1700s, before Los Angeles was even Los Angeles, this valley was a mission. San Fernando Rey de España, founded by Padre Junípero Serra, part of the golden chain of 21 missions that Spain planted like flags across California. It was land of grazing herds and rancheros where the longhorn steer was bred. The mission grew rich, prosperous. It became one of the strongest footholds Spain had in California. And for centuries, Mexicans lived here long before the stars and stripes ever flew over this land. But history doesn't stay still. By the 1960s, the valley was being remade. Endless farmland gave way to tract homes. The place became a magnet for white families fleeing the growing Black and Latino populations in Los Angeles proper. Within a decade, the valley had become nearly three-quarters Anglo. But looks can be deceiving. Drive the east side, step into the west pocket. The Latin flavor is everywhere. Murals, music, Spanish echoing through streets. Some neighborhoods look more like Mexico City than Middle America, and with that cultural backbone came something else. The rise of the barrios, San Fernando, Pacoima, Silmar, Canoga Park, pockets of North Hollywood, Sun Valley, Van Nuys, each with its own identity, each with stories that don't make the tourist brochures but define what the valley truly is. Let's start with San Fernando. Known on the streets as San Fer, some say it's the oldest barrio in the valley, others argue. But one thing's certain, San Fer carries tradition like a badge, old school, prideful, veteran-driven. They once claimed they owned the entire valley, and back in the day, they tried to enforce it. Walking into other barrios, trying to click them up, or stop them from claiming turf at all. Ambition that big breeds enemies. San Fer's reputation became one of arrogance conceited even. But respect was undeniable. Veteranos still talk about how they'd rumble with West LA barrios back and forth, valley to city, proving themselves every step of the way. San Fer spread too, into the Antelope Valley, into the high desert. They became one of the largest in the 805 region, so much so that some in the valley mocked them bigger outside than at home. Still, no one denies San Fer's weight. Their veterans remain some of the most respected in Southern California. Then there's Pacoima, or Pacas. If San Fer is tradition, Pacoima is numbers, by far the largest barrio in the valley. Not because they're unified, but because they're fragmented, splintered into at least 20 cliques, each with its own flavor. Some, like Project Boys and Latin Times, have identities so distinct they barely resemble each other. Vaughan Street started as a separate barrio but folded in. Others kept their names but still fly Pacoima. It's chaos, but it works, and that fragmentation makes them impossible to erase. Don't like one clique? Fine, join another. There's always a place. Boys cliques, locos cliques, east side, west side, rivalries even within the same barrio. The worst? Pierce Boys versus Project Boys. Some of the ugliest fights aren't against outsiders, they're civil wars inside Pacoima itself. And yet, through all that, Pacoima endures. Their rivalry with San Fernando is legendary. Some say it started back in the 1930s, when a man from Pacoima stole a horse from San Fernando and San Fer lynched him without trial. Pacoima retaliated. The cycle began. Others tell it the other way around. Doesn't matter. What matters is this. The feud never died. Decades later, the hate still burns. Pacoima absorbed crews too. HPR was one of the biggest. They spread across the valley but never openly tried to dominate outside their turf. Still, when you count all the fragments together, Pacoima is unmatched in size. Now take Blythe Street. Blur, a barrio born in Panorama City around 1970. Their veteranos trace back to the Diablos clique like many barrios. They had one by that name. At first, they caught hell from San Fer. San Fer didn't want anyone new claiming space, but Blee dug in, organized, more structured than most. regular meetings, strong communication. That discipline gave them staying power. In the 1990s, they hit a wave of fame. Their name carried weight. But fame fades, crack markets exploded, and every barrio in LA tried to set up shop in Panorama City. Bell fought not just rivals, but the police, who cracked down hard. Dropout rates hurt them. Half the kids who got jumped in never lasted. Still, Bell adapted, absorbed crews, started new cliques, kept their presence alive. Today they're bigger than ever, with veteranos hardened by stints in YA and county jails. Vineland Boys, different story. Newer, reckless, but huge. They were born from a merger. Vineland Boys, Soul Tress, and Village Boys combined, creating SVBS. That merger gave them numbers and territory. It made them a powerhouse in Sun Valley and North Hollywood. But it came with cost. Village Boys lost their name. Vineland lost their grip on North Hollywood, ceding ground to North Hollywood Boys. Competition over drug markets became intense, and yet the Vineland name stuck. Barrio Van Nuys, an old name with roots around Van Nuys High School and Delano Street. They claim Pachuco heritage, maybe even ties to the Zoot Suit riots of the 1940s. Some veteranos swear they've been around that long. Whether that's myth or fact, one thing's clear: they've lasted. They survived MS-13 invading their turf, along with smaller barrios sprouting around them. They've been tested again and again, but they still hold the South Side strong. Canoga Park, Barrio Canoga Park, Alabama Street. One of the oldest and most unique barrios in the valley. Isolated, surrounded by middle-class neighborhoods. No rivals for miles. That isolation gave them strange power. They created one of the strictest initiation processes in LA. A 2-year probation just to be considered. Fail to impress? You're out. Even after you're jumped in, veteranos watch closely. Step wrong, and you're expelled even after years. It sounds insane, but it worked. Their barrio stayed tight, strong, respected, and feared. Because of their harsh process, many who failed ended up joining other barrios. Canoga Park's dropout trail is littered across the valley. But those who stayed, they became some of the most disciplined, most respected gang members anywhere. Their reputation is legendary. Then there's the wave of outside barrios invading the valley. For decades, valley barrios were insular. But by the 1970s and 80s, LA barrios pushed outward. Clanton 14th Street was first, planting roots in North Hollywood, officially declaring a North Side. 18th Street followed. They clicked up tagging crews, doubled in size, made Van Nuys and North Hollywood look like Pico Union. MS-13 came too, spreading cliques across the valley, often colliding with rivals. Harpies pushed into Granada Hills, Playboys and Carnales into Burbank and North Hollywood, drifters into Tarzana, each barrio searching for voids, unclaimed turf, crews ready to be absorbed. Recruitment became an art. Aggressive, precise, almost military. Some lasted, some didn't. But the invasion never stopped. Even San Diego's Logan Heights came up in the 1980s. Small numbers, maybe 30 at most, but enough to plant a flag. They aligned with North Hollywood Boys, then drifted. Today their valley presence is fading, but the attempt showed just how far LA gang culture was spreading. And that's the truth about the valley. Behind the image of malls and cul-de-sacs lies a battleground. Every barrio has its own creation story. Some started as football teams, others as Pachuco clubs, some as street crews that got absorbed. Over time they hardened, drew lines, fought wars, built identities that survived decades. The valley isn't just an extension of LA, it's its own beast. With barrios older than most people realize, rivalries older than the freeways that cut through them. From San Fernando's claim of dominance to Pacoima's sprawling empire. From Blair Street's organization to Vineland's reckless rise. From Van Nuys's Pachuco roots to Canoga Park's strict code. Each one has written its chapter. And through it all, one truth remains. The valley may look suburban, but its barrios carry the same fire, the same blood, the same relentless drive for respect that defines the streets of LA itself. Out here, history isn't in the museums, it's on the walls, in the graffiti, In the stories passed down from veterans, it's alive, and it isn't going away. Because in the San Fernando Valley, every street has a story, and every story has a price.